everybody, welcome back. What we're going to be doing today is a short little demo on Cloud IAM. And I feel like I say a short demo and then it ends up being 30 minutes with all the issues that come into it. This one's pretty straightforward though. Now, if you remember what Cloud IAM is, that's our identity access management service that we have in Google Cloud. AWS and Azure have similar notions with their various role-based systems. But for this one, what we're going to be really checking out here is how we can add other users to get access to our resources. Now, I said this is going to be a short and simple one, mainly because we are going to go through the very basic aspects of this. If you were to, say, be setting this up for your organization because you have an IT-based role where you're managing hundreds of users or something like that, what you would go through and do is set up an organization in Google Cloud, and you would basically be importing all of your entities, which are going to be what users, devices, all that kind of stuff that you would get from something like an LDAP or Active Directory or something like that. You'd be bringing that in here. But we don't have an organization for our simple projects we're doing in this class. And I say simple in quotes, they're obviously still complicated. We're not necessarily going to need to set up an organization. What an organization gets you in Google Cloud are like super user accounts. Basically, you start building up an organization, a tree-based structure of your various users and their roles and things like that that you will have. We don't need that for our purposes. We are going to be mainly assigning roles to, say, other email addresses. We will be using service accounts, and that's pretty much going to be the limitation of what we need for this class. But again, if you want to go deeper, start looking into the organization type things that we have that we can do, really. It can get really, really detailed, the types of permissions you can assign. And organizations will get that. And you'll kind of see where the limitations of our basic approach really comes into play here. So I am at the IAM in admin page. Again, you can just search for that pretty easily. And effectively, you're going to get access to everything security based in here. Everything is tied to roles, but those roles can have very detailed level permissions. So I'm just here at the home page, and we see that I am in a project, right? So this is a default project, and I see permissions for project Frederick 680, and I've got my default email account that I've got in here. Now this role here, and let me make it a little bit bigger, I am an owner for this project, so I can do everything, right? I have full administrative access to the entire project. I can add services, I can delete them, I can access them. As long as I am logged in as me, I can do whatever I want in here, right? However, maybe you don't want to grant absolute power to every single user on your system, or you want to invite another person to work on your project, right? In here, it's pretty easy to manage. And again, I need to stress this one more time. This is what I'm showing you here is manageable with a small amount of users. Once you start scaling up, you're going to want to consider an organization or something like that. But let's say that I have this account here. Now in a incognito tab over here, I have logged in as another user. So this is basically one of my other temp Gmail accounts I've set up. One thing I should mention too, if you have a fresh account, you see this, your free trial is awaiting activate now. We're going to want to dismiss that. I see that my head is kind of blocking where it dismisses. We do not want to activate this for class. If you're not in this class, then you probably do want those 300 credits, but you get the credits that you need in here. So we have a fresh page, and let's say that I want to go to a project. So let me pop over here. And this is my active account. And I want to go to this project page. And what I need is a link to the exact project. So here we go. Just going to kind of copy over this project ID and get rid of all the extra stuff. So I want to go to this project in my secondary account. And what we should see is access denied. And yeah, you do not have sufficient permissions to view it. Now, What requirement do you need or what resource do you need? I need projects.get. I do not have that with this account, right? This user has not been entered in. What I can do though, and let's verify that this link does work, is to make sure I copied the right one. Yes, it does work. Basically, this is what I want to see. I can go into the IAM page and I can add this other user in. So Eric Fredericks teaches at Gmail. Okay. And if it is a Gmail account, it will be able to very easily pop up access. You don't strictly need a Gmail account though, right? We know hopefully from the basics of IAM that you can use any domain that you want. But once I've added this email address, I can pick a role. And in this list of roles, you see every single possible service with all of the different things that we can do with those services. Right? So if I were to go basic, this would give me just, full access to everything if I was an owner. If I make myself an editor, I can now have edit access to everything. In viewer, I can't actually do anything, but I can at least see what's going on. And if you kind of scroll through here, you can see everything that we can do, right? I can make you a BigQuery data viewer, meaning that the only thing you will have access to in this project is to look at BigQuery results, right? You can't do anything with it, but you can at least view what's going on. And hopefully I don't have to stress this, but always make sure you only assign the correct amount of permissions to the users and services and devices that need it. Never go above what it needs. That is the easiest way to open up security holes in your organization, and you do not want that to be your fault. So let's go basic and viewer for this account, and you can add other roles too, right? So I could have multiple things stacking on top of each other. I can add conditions as well, where basically this is a little bit more detailed than I would like, but I can assign these based on day of the week. I can have it expire at a certain amount of time. We're going to leave that open for now. And if this person is not expecting roles, you can send them a notification email and they would get an email saying, hey, you have been granted access to this project with this role. I'm going to leave this unticked because I don't really need an extra email. So let's save it. And now we see this person pop up. They're a viewer. And we basically get our usual information here. Right, this will take a second to propagate. And while it's doing that, we can look at some of the other things that are in this list here. So you can go through, work on your, identity and organization. So basically, again, we don't have an organization set up, but if we were to go through and do that, you actually get a checklist here for what you need to do to set up an organization. You need to first set up your identity, your domain, your organizational resources. This creates your super user accounts. This creates everything that you need to get up and running. And then basically there's a whole lot of other steps. So who gets admin access? Which users and groups do you want to create? Access control, if you want to go down the ACL route. Basically, there's a lot of extra things that we would have to do to create an organization. And you will note too that when you're going through everything and you click, say, new project, we always see this no organization pop up here, right? If you had an organization, it would appear here, and then you could create projects tagged with that organization. But we're not doing that right now. Other things in here, so you can look at the available roles, you can manage them, you can create sub roles. We can check audit logs, which is absolutely wonderful for seeing what has happened with which account. Can set quotas, so who has access to what for how long or for how many resources. Great way to make sure that your billing doesn't get blown out, which all of you are probably going to experience by this point. But last but not least, the thing I wanted to kind of really talk about was this group section. Now, groups would be a great thing to demonstrate if we had an organization set up. Again, I am not setting one up, but what a group would do is it would take your typical role-based access. You could put a bunch of users into a group and then assign a role to that group. And then whoever is inside of that group gets that role. And again, I mentioned this in the other video, but this is a wonderful way to very easily manage permissions with users who may be coming and going, right? You don't want to necessarily add 500 users manually and set the permissions for each and every person. You want to create one group with those roles, with those permissions, with access to those resources, and then just add users to those groups as needed. And once you remove them from the group, they lose that access. It's very, very easy to manage that way. So we have that. And now let's go over to our other page here. And let's go back to our home page. I guess let's go back to our home console here. So refresh. So we see this is my other account. It's the top of my head. I can select a project. Hey, here is that other project now, right? That wasn't there before. I can view it. I've got to get rid of all of this basic homepage stuff. So I have clicked VM instances, right? This is a fresh project with nothing enabled. No APIs are up, no compute engine access has been granted, nothing has been instantiated. I can't do anything other than view, right? So I can't create a new VM. I can't even tell the project to load up compute engine. Right? If I go to compute engine in my actual real account here, and I click cloud or yeah, compute, not cloud. We are in the cloud. Click compute. It's getting ready. It may take a minute, so this will spin up, and then I will still, when I come over here, I won't have access to create anything. Right, the error message should change, but it's still, this takes a few minutes to get up and running normally. But kind of the key here is that this is a wonderful way to manage your resources. Now, let's say that you are students in the class right now and you want to work together on a project. And maybe you have a term project idea that would really benefit from two of you. Well, one of you could create the main project, grant the other person access to that project, and then you can work together in the same cloud environment. You can share resources that way. You can share VPC networks that way. Basically, it is a very low effort way to share resources, which is kind of nice. So let's see if this is spun up yet. No, it's still going to keep going. Anyway, we'll let that go. I know it's not going to work, right? We were going to get an error message regardless. But it's kind of a nice thing to do, and I would highly, highly, highly recommend, if you are doing this for a production system, do an audit check every so often, and every so often should be pretty regularly. Set up alerts, set up budgets. Make sure, again, that your resources, being people or devices or services, only have the correct level of permissions. Right? Keep it simple. Don't over provide access. And really just limit your possibilities for attack is what you want to do here. Let's do Cloud Run. Don't have permissions. Again, this is what we want. Now, if I did give that role, I would have permissions for that and nothing else. Anyway, I will keep rambling otherwise, so hope you'll have a great day. I will see you next time. Bye, everybody.